You're listening to Sunday Reflections on Gripped. So you're very welcome to our Gospel Reflections here from St. Mary's, Pope's Quay in Cork.
Okay, so this Sunday's Gospel is taken from Luke, which we're reading at the moment in our Sunday cycle. And it will be from Luke chapter 18, and then verses 9 to 14. And it is about the Pharisee and the tax collector. The Pharisee who's standing at the back of the Pharisee who is in the front and is thanking God for how great he is and how he is not like the tax collector. And the tax collector is standing at the back feeling not worthy to be there and says to God, "Have mercy on me, a sinner." And he doesn't even look up at God, and that is his prayer. But Jesus is saying, like, who do you think goes away at rights with God? And that is the tax collector. Because he recognizes who he is, but he is open to God, where the Pharisee is really centered on himself. And I suppose that is one of the key things of what it is to be in a relationship with God and to get to know God, is to be able to open yourself up to the other. Because if we don't open ourselves up to the other, to God, then we close ourselves in and we become self-centered. So while the Pharisee might be doing externally exactly what was needed, it is God who looks into our hearts. God knows what's in our hearts, and He wants to heal us and help us and bring us along. But it can only happen if we open ourselves up. So we need to open ourselves up to God in order to be healed. That is really kind of, I suppose, that is really encountering the truth and recognizing the truth. The Pharisee lives, you could say, I think, in his own bubble of self-righteousness. But that is exactly what happened with the fall. I mean, Adam and Eve ate from the apple, so they could be like gods. They could decide what is right and wrong. They could decide the reality around them. And that is what the Pharisee is doing. So even if he follows rules and regulations, it doesn't mean that he is converted. He just does this because he needs to do it, but he doesn't change. And so, but external, and even this, I think, is can go as far as helping people and things. I mean, it's not about what we do externally, but it is about how we transform ourselves, allow ourselves to be transformed. So it is really growing in virtue. And it might even be that we're in the dumps, that we are completely down on the ground in our sinfulness or in our brokenness or whatever it is. But by opening ourselves up and allowing ourselves to be brought up by God, to be strengthened through virtue, to the supernatural grace that God wants to give us, our life can change. And I think it's something to really kind of think about, because that is really where I suppose that is what Christianity is. It is that conversion. It's not just about social contracts that makes living with each other bearable. To a certain extent, again, that's what you can see with the Pharisees. Everybody follows the commandments externally, so we don't kill each other, so because it's not nice to be killed. So if we just agree that we don't kill each other, it will be nicer and more convenient for everybody to live. But at the same time, if our hearts are not changing, if we still have to fight because we want to kill our neighbor, or well, even if we want to murder somebody in our hearts, our lives are not changing. And we are insular, and we are enclosed in ourselves, containing all that movement, emotion, and just smile outside. But that is not what life is supposed to be about. No, life is supposed to be about recognizing who we are, see us in the light of the truth, allow ourselves to accept God into our lives, and allow Him to transform us and open ourselves up and become part of life itself and experience that life-giving love of God. It's hard to recognize us in ourselves, our fallenness and our brokenness, our mistakes, but to be honest with ourselves and with God, and then allow ourselves to flourish to the love of God working in us and transforming us. I suppose that is really what the life of grace is about. So to be honest is the important thing, to be honest with God. Allow Him to expose sometimes even our brokenness and our sinfulness, but open our hearts and allow Him to be healed, so that we can beat our breast and say, have mercy on me, God, a sinner, and that we go away righteous, away from God, like the tax collector did.